everyone, and welcome back to Brown Coat Reviews. I'm your host, Laura, and this is my husband, Scott, and we are here on Married with Comics to discuss our pull list for the week. So I'm going to go first because for once, my pile is shorter than his. See, it does happen, I promise. Now, first title, of course, is, in my opinion, the most important, and that is Geiger. Geiger is the current release, Image Comics. It has already sold out from distribution, so if you're going to get your copy, grab it now. If not, the second print covers actually do look really cool. This is the A and the C cover. I love them. This is Enoch number 2, which is the Bad Ideas comic. I actually haven't read this series yet. I did read, of course, Geiger. Reviews coming tomorrow, otherwise I'd talk a bit more about it. This is the Next Batman Second Son, issue number 1. This is the Ken Lashley cover, which of course we all know is far superior. This is basically taking the series that we all kind of knew and loved from the Future State Next Batman series. And this should be giving us some of the answers that were driving us all a little bit nuts of kind of what we were missing from the family, some of that storyline, how the next Batman came to be. I am very excited for this issue. And that's it. I have 2 other items, so let me show you my one other big one, and I gotta wait on my trade. So this is actually thanks to Mystery Dave over at Mainstream Comics. I saw this as a Lucky Ducky item and was so excited about this art print that I reached out to Mystery Dave and I'm like, I'm lucky, but I'm not that lucky. Please, 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 please tell me how I can find this print. So he got me in touch with the artist who does exclusive prints for Mainstream Comics and contacted him, and surprise, I got the very last one. They will print more, and yes, I have his information below here. Got his name obviously printed, but this is the print that was worth it. Come on. It was so awesome. I'm so excited for this one. And yes, it will get framed, and yes, it will be behind us at some point. It's just so cool. So he will print more, so if you're interested in getting more of these, like I said, I've got his contact information below. Reach out. It's such a cool print. And he's got, of course... Uh-huh. Did I mention that I'm terrible with names? I want to say it's Frank Kadar. Frank Kadar?
We'll look that up and
I think it's Frank
put
Kadar.
that somewhere later.
I'm terrible with names, people. I'm lucky that I remember his. Most of the time. Your turn.
I'm going to do that one.
Didn't you want to do it with the trades?
You do yours and then I'll do mine.
Okay. So last one, when Scott was at the shop, he was grabbing, we have the buy 3, get the 4th one free deal, whether you're getting trades, omnibuses, hardcover books.
At Ultimate Comics in Raleigh.
Exactly. And when he was pulling his 3, he asked me which one I wanted, and I chose Philadelphia. So this is a series...
Well, that's not true.
It's not true?
This is how Revicious Rumors get started.
Really?
I had 2 picked, and I said, hey, I've got 2 trades I've been watching. I'd like to go ahead and get them. Can you fill out the other 2 so we can get the deal? So I offered to do fairsies, half and half.
Yes.
And
I
somebody
only
over here
picked
couldn't
one.
decide, on what she wanted, so she picked 1 and said, all right, you pick the 4th.
Well, also because the last time we went to the shop, he picked 1 and I picked 3, so I thought it was only fair that the next time I pick 1 and he pick 3.
Yeah, Married with Comics. Now you understand the meaning
of fairness and love. Really. Gotta make him rewatch the original poll. So anyways, this was my pick out of the trades. No, I don't actually have Philadelphia Volume 1. I will get it. For this one, everyone's been talking about it. I did grab the J. Scott Campbell cover, which was issue number 10. It just, the artwork and the storyline definitely looked right up my alley. So with the price point that Scott was grabbing the other trades, it was like, well, Volume 2 ended up being a little bit more. I'm like, let me just grab Volume 2. I'm going to read both of them at the same time. Just fly through Volume 1 and Volume 2. So now I have this. I'll go back and get Volume 1 next week. Now it's his turn.
Cool. So I had been eyeballing a couple of things. First of all, I finally got around, I guess it was end of last year.
Yeah.
To reading the Dark Knight's Metal. So it was about the time, I guess, that the Death Metal was coming out. I remember seeing it on the shelf, and I was talking to Dan at Ultimate Comics Raleigh about it, and he was like, well, have you read the prequel, if you like that, if you like Metal? And I'm like, actually I haven't read it yet, so grab that. Since reading that, I've been wanting to pick up this and decided to go ahead and do it this Wednesday. So this is The Batman Who Laughs from Metal, of course. Scott Snyder, one of my favorites anyhow. So that and the artwork from it was amazing. That was one of the ones that I was reading the Metal series in bed, and I kept like pausing and showing her like, God, look at this page, look at this picture, look at this frame, look at this. Yeah. It really caught me, wrapped me up in it. So the other one that I had kind of been eyeballing for a while and been wanting, I don't know if we've discussed it yet. I know I probably haven't discussed it, but big Firefly fans.
Thus the name Brown Coat Reviews.
So this one is Blue Sun Rising. It came out, the trade and hardcover, and I had been wanting to grab it and decided that I was going to get it. So that left me with two, and since Laura couldn't pick two of her own, and she said, you go ahead and pick the fourth, I grabbed Event Leviathan. The premise of this one just really kind of intrigued me. I heard about it, knew vaguely about the storyline, and I love when it's a good storyline that either I've heard about, been reviewed, been recommended, or one that I'm familiar with. I like grabbing it in trades because I like reading the entire thing. Single issues, I typically do more artwork or characters that I'm just going to read every week, every month when they come out.
And we're regardless. Also Brian Michael Bendis fans.
Of course, and Alex Maleev. Anyhow. So then my other pull list came in, Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 63, and can't wait to get that one. Oops, sorry, glare.
Yeah.
And my Joker Harley Criminal Sanity number 8 came out. This is another one that Laura is not quite sure yet if she's going to get into as much as me. Get my big fat fingers out of the way so you can see the artwork.
I will give it another try. But
I enjoy it for what it is. We have these nights, sometimes movie nights, where it doesn't have to be poignant, well written. Acting doesn't even have to be that good in it. The point of it is just entertain us. We call it goofy movie or stupid movie, or yes. I'm in a brain fog. I really don't want to have to think about what they're saying. I just want to react to sights, sounds, pretty colors, whatever it is, right? Yeah. We won't name any of those movies now because we don't want to offend anybody, but we have kind of our go-to wheelhouse. That's kind of the way that I treat some of these storylines. It's not my favorite iteration of Harley. It's not my favorite background story. It's definitely not even my favorite Joker character. I like the artwork, though, a lot. And there are certain other things about it that I do like. And there's a certain playfulness between the two characters that I appreciate strictly on the basis of that. I don't care if it's not the best writing or her favorite storyline. I don't care if it's not the backstory you prefer. I like it for what it is. Then I also got Suicide Squad. Went back and grabbed issue 1 because I had failed to grab it. Got this cover, which is referring to the character John Cena plays in the upcoming movie that we still don't know when they're releasing yet. And Suicide Squad number 2. Squad.
Yeah.
Squad number 2. Number 2 Squad. Coming right up. And bless you.
Thank you.
Pollen season.
Yeah,
welcome
it's great.
To Raleigh, y'all. This is the Sonya Versal. This is issue 3, and I absolutely adore this cover. Yeah. So, cross between elfin, pirate kind of, yeah. I love that one. Anyhow, and I don't know that artist. I'll have to look him up. So, last one on my pull list is actually not on my pull list yet, but it's a single issue that I purchased based on a recommendation from, again, Dan, down at Ultimate Comics Raleigh. The reason being, a couple of people in our one of our other groups that we're in on Facebook, comic related, huge Green Lantern fans.
Hey, Keith.
I watched it. I've read it. I read about him and other storylines, Justice League and Infinite Crisis and so on. And I'm like, oh, cool. I must say, again, partly because of my Firefly fandom, I do appreciate the DC animated versions where Nathan Fillion is the voice of Green Lantern, because I think he brings something to that character that makes him more appealing to me. Not knocking Ryan Reynolds or other versions, other voice actors, but
I think
like
even
him.
Ryan Reynolds certainly will knock his own version of
He
Green
has
Lantern
multiple
first,
times.
So,
but I've never really picked a storyline or been a regular reader or devoted to just the Green Lantern story. So I was talking to Dan about it. He mentioned this one coming out this week and that it was a different sort of storyline, because you have obviously like the Hal Jordans, or you have there are multiple ways that you can get into the Green Lantern universe in short. This one is where I'm going to start, because I really want to determine if I'm just not a Green Lantern fan, or I've just never really given it a fair shake. So we'll see. More to come on that later. And the Us pile.
Yay.
My dear.
Oh, okay, so Noctera. So this is issue number 2. We did get issue number 1. I read it. It was good, but I need issue number 2. I need a little bit more before I really make my decision, and then I will certainly be telling you all about it. And this may be one, if he reads it before I give the video, we may review it together.
Well, I will say I'm intrigued because of what's on the back of the cover. This is a story about all the things we can't see. So that's a hook, then it worked. It got me.
Batman 107, I mean, it's Batman. It's a cool cover. I think we finally accepted that we are just B cover card stack variant people on Batman, period. And we just need to stop trying for the A cover and just accept we love the B covers.
We're probably just going to go ahead and subscribe. So then this is the Peach Momoko Avengers.
I love that.
So very, very cool Hulkling, or She-Hulk, excuse me. I like it. I'll be honest, I'm not knocking her talent at all, but there's several covers that people have seemingly lost their minds over that I kind of looked at and was like, that's cool, but not my favorite. Maybe because I'm being exposed to it more, or maybe just something about certain characters that she's done recently, but I'm getting more into it. Like this one, I really like.
For this one of the things I love is the detail down in like the orchids. Like how that kind of plays with the other colors. I mean, it seriously pops. When I knew this one was coming out, I made sure to pre-order it because I had a feeling everyone in the world was going to go nuts over this, just like we did. So I'm glad we grabbed a copy.
And the last one?
The last one is Tankers #1. So this is another Bad Ideas comic. I do have a review coming out, like I said, tomorrow, about the Tankers #1 versus Geiger #1, discussing sort of independent titles that have just been released this week and whether they met my expectations. And that's all kinds of intrigue and fun bits.
I'm curious to know too, though, so if any of you also have like your guilty pleasure reads, we call it.
Yes.
Like being a literature major and having a background in a lot of formal literature from both of our past, I get like there's certain epic works and there are certain things that you read because they're just so much
You get entranced in those worlds. And
some of them are just like they're key stories to be familiar with in order to kind of learn something about a culture or a past or a certain period in time or for whatever reason, and they're classics and they'll always be revered as classics, and I get it. But every now and then I want like the male equivalent of a trashy romance novel, or maybe I shouldn't say the male equivalent, just the equivalent of a trashy romance novel. I don't read trashy romance novels. But sometimes I just want to read something that's fun and or funny or goofy. It makes me laugh, makes me cringe. Doesn't have to be, epic. Doesn't have to be any of the other stuff. Will never be deemed a classic, but it does something for me. It fills a certain need at a certain time. I'm not like that all the time, but when I am like that, classic literature doesn't fill that sweet spot. Do you have something like that? Whether it be in the comic world or otherwise. We have our movies that we watch when we're in those moods. We have I have comics that I read and that I get because they fill that need for me. Put it in the comments. Let us know what you think. If you have something like that you'd like to share as well.
Yes. And what sort of titles did you grab this week? Did you grab the same, or did you go in a completely different direction than we did? We look forward to hearing from you all again very soon. And as always, this is Laura and Scott from Brown Coat Reviews, Married with Comics. And hopefully we will survive long enough to make it through the next video. Have a great night.